until our independence and until our independence, and the southern Cameroon parted way and decided to join their contemporaries in the northern part of Cameroon. So this institution was established at a place called Man-O-War Bay. Man-O-War Bay. That is Victoria Province in southern Cameroon. So I think with this, that was the beginning of Citizenship and Leadership Training Center in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, sir. It is very interesting to note here from what you have said that the Citizenship and Leadership Training Center came into being before the Nigerian independence, meaning it came before Nigeria gained our independence. Then, if that is it, how and when was it established? Because you haven't told us when precisely it came into being. The year Citizenship and Leadership Training Center was established in Africa or here in Nigeria. Thank you, sir.
Citizenship and Leadership Training Center was established as Man-O-War Bay Training Center at Victoria Province. On that bay called Man-O-War Bay in the year 1951 by Dr. Alec Dixon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. You mentioned Kurt Han and Alec Dixon. Sir, I don't know if you can tell your listeners out there the relationship these two important personalities have with Citizenship and Leadership Training Center and the Man-O-War itself.
Thank you very much. Dr. Kurt Han. Kurt Han was a philanthropist. He was a shipping magnate as at that time. And then there were these issues of having problems on the high sea by the crew members of his shipping team. And then he was looking for a solution. How young men can be strong, how young men can develop guts to withstand challenges. And that is when he came into collaboration with Alec Dixon, a social worker as at that time. Kurt Han, it might suffice you to know as well that Kurt Han, because he's a philanthropist, he was equally the person behind the establishment of the Duke of Edinburgh Award, Leadership Award. Yes, that is the same Kurt Han. And then Alec Dixon was the one that brought in the technical know-how on how to establish such a training center like it is now. And then both of them formed the Outward Bound organization in UK that time. While Alec Dixon did not stop there. He was the same person who emigrated to Africa and established the same on the soil of Africa for the first time, and that was in 1951. The same Alec Dixon was so versatile. The same Alec Dixon was a master strategist, a master planner. He was the man behind the establishment of Yaba College of Technology. Yes, Alec Dixon was behind it as well, while in Nigeria at that time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for throwing a light on who Kurt Han and Alec Dixon were. Sir, I believe the listeners will be happy knowing or hearing authoritatively from the source, which is Citizenship and Leadership Training Center, the origin and establishment of Man-O-War. Because Man-O-War is seen by most people as a non-governmental agency. But I want to believe this morning that with your explanation so far, the listeners out there will now come to know the origin, the foundation, and the establishment of Man-O-War here in Nigeria. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes. I said earlier that Alec Dixon established this training center on a bay called Man-O-War Bay in Victoria Province in southern Cameroon. Yes, of course. At that bay, prior to the establishment of this training center, on that bay was the same point where British frigates established and sent to West African coast to tackle menace of slave trade were established. And then on that bay, there was an abandoned ship left behind there. And there was that inscription, Man o War Bay, man on war against slavery. That was the same bay being used by those people. But when the slave trade was over, they vacated that point. And people, the local communities, the locals were referring to that same point as Man o War Bay. That bay is called Man o War Bay. Man o War Bay. And when Alec Dixon came, he discovered the ambience, the kind of environment needed for establishment of such an institution, because the training is experiential. Then they have to make use of the physical environment, the hills, the sea, the mountains, whatever, to train human beings on how to do well. So they found that same Man o War Bay as the ideal location. When they come there, established there is no other name that could be given to this institution, Man o War Bay Training Center. It was called Man o War Bay Training Center at the beginning. So, and then those people that were successful in passing through this training, people that were trained, the alumni of this, the people that were trained by this training center, become the first generation of people being conscripted into this organization called Man o War. Those coming from institutions, those coming from the military, wherever you come from schools, they now go back after this training with this, with the kind of training they received. When they go back to their various destinations, they form themselves into this organization called Man o War Bay. At the beginning, it was Man o War Bay organization. It was recently or later that it became Man o War Nigeria. Yes, that is how Man o War came into being. But the training center, you can never be a member of Man o War Bay or Man o War if you are not trained by this institution, because it is the old students of this institution that become Man o War members. Automatically, you can never be a Man o War member. A Man o War member should be a trained citizen and a trained leader. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, listeners out there, it will please you to note here that Man o War's meaning is man of war against slavery, as interpreted by our guests this morning. A lot of us know it as Man o War without knowing the full meaning. But today, listeners, I want to believe that you've come to know the full meaning of Man o War, which is man of war against slavery. Thank you very much, Mr. Abi Alaji Danjuma Ochide. You just told us that the pre-colonial masters brought about this Man o War. Can you please tell your listeners where the locations were, where the colonial masters located this organization, this body, when they brought it into Africa/Nigeria?
When the training center was first established, I said earlier, Alec Dixon brought it to southern Cameroon. On that location, on that Man o War Bay, Victoria Province, southern Cameroon, that is where Alec Dixon established it. And then, because of encompasses the current geographical location and southern part of Cameroon. Part of Cameroon, covering that location where the training center was established. But when it was heading towards independence, southern Cameroon were asked through plebiscite to decide either to join Nigeria or to go to join their northern counterparts to become Republic of Cameroon, and they opted for the latter. So they decided to join, and then this institution originally was meant for Nigeria Therefore, there was no how it could have remained a Nigerian institution but in Cameroonian soil. No. That is how and why it was relocated from the vicinity of Manowo Bay to Kura Falls on the plateau. Kura Falls is on the Plateau State, Nigeria. Kura Falls. That is where it was relocated to after Southern Cameroon. So that is where it was relocated to after independence of the country, Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. As we all know, no organization can stand without mandate, as that serves as the driving force of any establishment. On that note, sir, I want you to tell the listeners out there the mandate of the center and how far you have been able to meet them up.
Yes, at independence, most of these institutions that were inherited by independent Nigeria, like the police, the military, the judiciary, and so, and then the training center itself. It has to, through a change in name of that institution from Manowo Bay Training Center to Citizenship and Leadership Training Center. And then, through the same edict, it has to be given a fresh mandate. One was to train all Nigerians. All Nigerians. All Nigeria, irrespective of class, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of gender, whatsoever. All Nigerians were to be trained by this training center in the art of good citizenship and better leadership. That is one of the mandates. To train everybody in Nigeria how to become good leaders and how to be good citizens is the first mandate. Secondly, it was mandated as well to organize, form, train, and establish Manowo clubs and associations nationwide. Manowo clubs and associations were to be established all over the country. Through the nooks and crannies of this country, there are supposed to be officers and men of Manowo, Nigeria. It is the responsibility of this training center to do so. And as well, the third of the mandate is to research into youth and youth-related issues in Nigeria. Youth and youth-related issues in Nigeria. And of course, it is obvious and it's glaring that we have been out there training Nigerians, training right from the first, the group of elites produced by this country. They were trained by this institution. And when we are talking about Manowo, anywhere you are, you can always see them. They are everywhere. So, and in the area of when we talk about the research, yes, of course, it's not possible to develop any work plan, any serious development plan regarding the youth without the inclusion of Citizenship and Leadership Training Center. Thank you very much. We're up to date.
Thank you, Alaji Danjuma. Can you please, I want to believe that the listeners will want to know how the Citizenship and Leadership Training Center has fared since independence. Can you please tell us how the center has fared right from the time of independence to date?
Thank you very much. Anytime I say the center, I'm referring to the Citizenship and Leadership Training Center. We refer to it within. Those of us within, we call it the center for short. Yes. It is possible, it is very easy to advertise what is good. Citizenship and Leadership Training Center has been in existence for the past 72 years. For any institution to have survived several decades like this, that means there is substance in that institution. Citizenship and Leadership Training Center was established, like I said, in Kura Falls. And it was serving the entire Africa. Training participants from all over Africa were converging on the plateau there for training. And because of problem of accessibility, it has to be relocated once more from that to Kura Falls. It was brought out into a place called Lamingo. Lamingo is on the top of Sherry Hills. Those of us that were ever trained by Citizenship and Leadership Training Center, we know about Sherry Hills. Sherry Hills is the location where it was moved to from Kura Falls because of the obscurity out there. While we were trying to relocate from Kura Falls to Sherry Hills, yes, some politicians among the first elites of this country, early that time, immediately after independence, they started craving for decentralization of this training center. And then they urged, they begged, they pleaded with the government, because the government has already nationalized it. They were nationalized it, and they were asking the government to establish one for the south, because that in Kura Falls was already in northern Nigeria. Those in the south were craving for their own, and another one was established in Snake Island, Apapa, Lagos. Snake Island, Apapa, Lagos. Those of you that are conversant with Lagos and our kind of training, you know about C School. We call it C School, Apapa, Lagos. And then, see if that was not enough, later, through development, during military era, some women were protesting that no, they needed their own, especially for women, especially to cater for the training needs of women. And another one was established called Women Training School. It was located initially at Apapa, Lagos, there, but later moved to Otu Jeremy, Delta State. That's Women Center. Another one was established in 1977 then for the eastern part of the country, because we have the north, the west. That of Jos was for the north, called Mountain School, and another for the west was that one in Lagos, C School. Then there was need to establish another one in the east because of the regional arrangement of the country, eastern region, and that was established in a place called Alu, Port Harcourt. Alu, Port Harcourt, we have Forest School, Alu, Port Harcourt. Yes, we continued in that form until there were some kind of human beings that needed this training, seriously, earnestly, they need this training, but there is no how they could access it by going to the training center, this physically established training center. So they needed a training that could be brought to their doorstep. That informed the decision of government at that time to establish another one called Mobile Training School. Mobile Training School takes training to the doorstep of every individual and institutions willing to have this training in place in their own environment. This training is taken there through Mobile Training School. Yes, we continue in that form till when this arrangement come in Nigeria that we have to go into geopolitical arrangement. This geopolitical arrangement subdivided Nigeria into 6 geopolitical zones. We already have a center called Mountain School, Sherry Hills, in the North Central. Plateau is in the North Central. We already had another one in the Southwest, that is Apapa, Lagos. C School is in Southwest. And then automatically by this current arrangement, Port Harcourt has fallen under South-South. Therefore, there will be need to establish in other zones. But in Port Harcourt, we had Forest School, Alu, Port Harcourt, for the South-South. Now, there is need to establish for Southeast, Northeast, and Northwest. In the year 2002, 3 new training schools were established. One for the South-South, Rockland School. in Ogu, Enugu State, though recently relocated to Mbo, the same Enugu State. Another one was established in Kotorkoshi, Zamfara State, for the Northwest, although recently brought into Kudan in Kaduna State. And another one was established at that is in Yobe State. That is, we have a unit in Yobe State. It is called Desert School, Fika, in Yobe State, for the Northeast. And that was the arrangement until recently. Some states started craving to have their own. We want, though we are within this zonal arrangement, but we need our own because of the importance of this training. We need it in our own state. That is how Katsina recently had a training school called Sahel School, Katsina. And then another one was established in Ogun State, Owode, Ogun State, and it is called Valley School, Owode, Ogun State. And in no distant time from now, we are expecting several other states that are craving to have a training school established in their domain because of so many factors. Because not every Nigerian needs this, and it will attract federal presence to every state wherever this training center is located, and will attract traffic of human beings that will always come for this training. And you can never overemphasize when we talk about the economic advantages to such environment. Thank you very much. So far, so good. The training center has been established in about 10 places, and currently we even have online school. Online school is because of the new normal. The new normal is that you must not converge to do whatever. We are taking advantage of this technological development in recent times, and we have online school. In case you cannot go for physical training at the moment, you can log in and then you have your training online. So that's where we are.
At this juncture, I think I must commend your agency for spreading your training schools across all the geopolitical zones in Nigeria to meet up with your organization, with your organizational mandate, which has to do with the general training of the masses. I think I must commend the organization for this.
Thank you very much.
Well done. On this note, it is generally observed that your training schools have peculiar names, such as Hilltop, Forest School, Mountain School, Valley School, Sea School, Sahel, and names that are not common. Can you please tell us what is so special about the naming of your various training schools?
Being an offshoot of our outward bound organization, outward bound training, which is experiential, you can see that we make use of the environment to train people, to inculcate such traits as discipline, self-discipline, tolerance, and whatever into people. Since that is our job, we make use of the physical environment in training these people. When you hear mountain school, of course in Nigeria there is no mountain. Some people might think that it is an exaggeration. Yes, of course it is, because if you ever go through our training at the Sherry Hill Peak, you will know that yes, you have of course come across a mountain. Yes, if you go to sea school, Apapa, Lagos, yes, it is on the, if you go to Snake Island there, it's right inside the sea. It is there in the sea, and we make use of the water body there to train people. If you go to Forest School specializes mostly on expedition, adventure, carrying a heavy load and traveling a rocky road. People going into the interior in case there is humanitarian crisis, in case there is emergency. Those trains there can withstand it. You can travel so many kilometers and then assisting humanity. And then when you go to, when we talk about Hilltop, yes, of course, if you know Enugu State very well, you know that there is this famous Woody Hills, which elongated into the Ogu axis, and it was on top of that hill. That is why the hilltop. You cannot be trained in Ogu, and you will not experience the beauty and the experience of the hilly nature of the environment. And then if you're talking about Rockland School, Kotorkoshi, the historic town of Kotorkoshi itself is on top of a rock, and that rock where the eagle landed in the history of Usman Dan Fodio. Yes, that is where the institution was established, and it takes the name of hilltop of Rockland there. And then when you are talking about desert encroachment, desert in Nigeria here, if you are talking about desert, you take it from the northeastern axis, and particularly in Yobe State. That is where we have desert environment. And then we use this desert experience in training people on how to cope with day-to-day life of the people. Therefore, and then we have a Valley School in Owode. Valley School down there in Owode, that is in Ogun State. If you go there, you will see the physical environment, the kind of the nature of the terrain, the lithographical arrangement of the area. Yes, give credence to that name, Valley School. And that is how all our schools are named. We have Desert School, we have Rockland School, we have in Kudan, that is in Kaduna State, we have Sahel School in Katsina. So we have these names attributed to our schools because of the physical environment where they are found and the type of training in which they specialize most. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. At this moment, we'll be going on a short break. Please stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Make we join our hearts to build a nation of our dreams. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your joy. Make we join our hearts to build a nation of our dreams. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your joy.
Dear listeners, you are welcome back. And our guests, you are welcome back once again. And the station remains Citizens FM, Citizens Radio 93.7 FM. Sir, the Citizenship and Leadership Training Center, we know, is saddled with the responsibility of inculcating moral values and reorientating the individuals, especially the Nigerian youths, according to one of your training mandates. What categories of people are being trained by the center?
Thank you very much. At inception, starting from the year 1951, all categories of people, especially those in government as at that time, and those that were being prepared to take over from colonial masters, were being trained by this training center. Especially, and then all formal institution of learning, from primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions were being, students were being trained by this training center at Kura Falls. Yes, and then officers within the military, the police, civil servants, they were all being trained as at that time. From the states and the local government, the regions, they were all being trained to become, initially, to be good citizens, so that they should develop that patriotic zeals within them. And then they were equally trained to become better leaders, because it was being anticipated at that time, at that early stage, by our founding fathers, the likes of Nnamdi Azikiwe, the likes of Alhaji Ahmadu Bello, Sardauna of Sokoto, the likes of Awolowo, the likes of Okpara, the likes, all of them come into contact with Alec Dixon and discover the good thing he was bringing in, and then they keyed in training, bringing everybody to that training at the beginning. Of course, there is no elites of that time, either within the military. Most of the past military leaders were trained by this institution. Most of the police hierarchy, top echelon, were being trained by this institution. This institution has taught so many lives. If I have to mention individual, you can see people like Professor Jega, that developed. He confessed recently in a gathering that patriotic zeal in him was developed at his while he was developing as a child when he attended this training. Professor Jega confessed, and several others who may not be able to tell until they are being asked to do so. This training center in recent time, apart from training all these categories of people, they have been responsible for the training of there is executive training for top management staff of both governmental and private sector establishments. They are equally responsible for the training of all students of physical and health education or human kinetics in higher institutions, either colleges of education or universities. They are responsible for the training of, you can never be a second lieutenant in the Nigerian Army. You can never be commissioned until you go for this training. At least during your second term, and then your fifth term, you must go for this training. And then there is no how you become a very senior officer in the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, in EFCC, in DSS, what have you, intelligence circle. You can never be there without being trained by these experts. You can never be trained. You cannot give what you don't have. Some other time, these are what do you call them? The executives of House of Assemblies, like Niger State, Kano State, chairmen of local government. They were being trained by these people through executive course. This training is cut across all strata of the society. So I know that children of secondary school, especially these unity schools, federal government colleges, you can't become a prefect there until you have been trained. And then one other area people that are usually being trained are these affluent schools. Affluent schools in the sense that these private secondary schools, missionary schools, they don't allow their children to pass out until they pass through this training. They know the value and they know the importance. And then some of these students, after graduating from secondary school in Nigeria, they want to go abroad for training, for studies. They ask them for this certificate. Have you ever been trained in the art of good citizenship and better leadership? If you have one, to your advantage. And then we still train organizations, church organization, voluntary organization, governmental organization, NGOs. We train them, all categories of people, all those that would like to become good citizens and better leaders. The best place to go is to go for Citizenship and Leadership Training Center. And that is what we have been doing all this while. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Citizenship and Leadership Training Center is a government peculiar training agency, as noted from what you have said so far. On that note, sir, can you tell the listeners out there the benefits of passing through your training programs?
Yes, the benefits of passing through this training is multifaceted. Of course, because if you pass through this training as a person, as an individual, Your benefits ranges from developing self-confidence, developing self-discipline, self-organization, teamwork, and several other virtues. You will develop them within yourself. And wherever you find yourself, you don't need to tell anybody. For they to see these virtues in you and confirm that you are a good citizen and consequently a good leader. So, and then as an institution, those institutions that are coming for this training, they know the value, because they know that if you want to have a good nation like Nigeria is today, if you want to have a nation, Nigeria is a country. If we truly want to have a nation, every individual within this country has to pass through this citizenship training for them to become conscious of why we must coexist, why we must relate as brothers, why it is not a mistake by God to have brought all of us within this country, over 250 tribes, ethnic nationalities, becoming one. God has never made mistake. But many people are not conscious of it now, because majority of Nigerians have not gotten that privilege to have passed through this training. Once you pass through this training, it will be better for Nigeria, because the founding fathers who established this training center knew that the incidence of this training center is a good omen for the development of this country. At a time like now, all we need now is for everybody to key in, be individuals, institutions. If there is any institution, if there is any establishment that is not keying in, something is wrong. The what do you call them? The airlines. Yes, they key in. In the past, they have been going, Nigeria Airlines, they go for this training. The banking industry, you cannot do well there. You have to go through this training. You don't want people to cheat. You don't want people to steal. You don't want people to be corrupt. They need basic things, better than rhetorics. It's not always rhetoric. Why? What is the difference between Nigeria and America? Why are Americans proud of saying I'm an American, when Nigerians cannot say the same? Why is it that when Nigerians leave this shore, the shore of this country, to America, they will become proud of being an American? Why? What is the difference? The difference is that there is this institution here, the outward bound that is that metamorphosed into Citizenship and Leadership Training Center here. We have outward bound all over America. America, they are aware. Based on the same principle of training. Okay, but that institution has been strengthened all over there, better to withstand the mandate. So if Nigerian institution it becomes strengthened, especially through collaboration with stakeholders, critical stakeholders, then I think with time, Citizenship and Leadership Training Center in Nigeria here will do better and will produce people that will be proud of having Nigeria as a nation and as their own country, and then will be craving, working very hard to see that Nigeria compete favorably with the first world in developmental, in development, physically and otherwise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. With your position, by virtue of the peculiarity of your training activities, why has your organization been supervised by different ministries at different times?
Thank you very much. Yes, it's a welcome question. This institution has a peculiar role to play. And the role to play you cannot ask people to do what they are not trained to do, and you expect them to do well. From the beginning, based on the anticipation of the founding fathers of this country, They want Nigeria to be a better country, comparable to any other developing, any other improved country in the world, at least by now. And that is why they put in place this great institution. And then they put in place this great institution so that people will be trained from the beginning. Right from primary school, you start going through this training. Secondary school, you go through this training. University, you still go through this training. And then, before you go into jobs, you go through this training. While on the job, you continue to refresh yourself in this training. There is no how you will not think good for yourself and think positive for the country. And then, there is no how you will not be a good leader if given the privilege to serve in that capacity. And that is how, that is why they established this institution at the beginning. So I think there is need for patronage, high level of patronage. We need that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It is widely believed.
Excuse me, please. Yes, when you are talking about why it is in different, it has been in different ministries over the years. Yes, at a point it was because it is unique, because of its unique nature, it was in the Federal Ministry of Education. At another time, no, this thing should not be under education because the kind of education they give is experiential and is quite unique to them. It then later again pushed to places like Federal Ministry of Youth Development and Women Affairs, because Youth and Women Affairs were together at that time, because they felt that yes, they have to start from the cradle. We have to start from, we have to catch them young. We have to train the youth. And then at a point, it went to Ministry of Social Development, Federal Ministry of Social Development. At a point again, it was brought back to the presidency when, in this current dispensation of civilian rule, when Mr. President Olusegun Obasanjo was there, he brought it to the presidency. While in the presidency, so that it can receive the special attention needed. And it was blossoming seriously as at that time. At another time again, it was moved with this Ministry of Youth Development, Youth and Sports Development. And as we speak now, it is currently under Federal Ministry of Youth Development. So I think it is a ministry on its own. Youth development is a ministry on its own now. I think it calls for special attention from the government. And that is why we have been moving, because there is need to properly place us where we belong and where we can impact more on Nigerians. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, it is widely believed in various quarters that the problem of third world countries are that of citizenship and leadership. How true is this, sir?
Thank you very much. And coincidentally, that is our own name. Citizenship and leadership. Yes. When you think about problem of third world country, it has to do with ethnicism. It has to do with regionalism. It has to do with religion. It has to do with so many social factors. When you think about the problem of citizenship, most third world countries are in that capacity, in that category. They are being referred to as third world because of problem of development. Wherever there is this problem of ethnicity, tribalism, whatsoever, corruption, then definitely the development will not be there. It cannot be there. There cannot be development there. And that is why, for instance, places you have heard about crisis in the past and even in recent time, those communities where there are crises, it is problem of citizenship. What the Constitution is talking about Nigeria is different from what the culture is preaching. The culture of Nigeria, culturally, we are aware that if you are born in a place, your father is born there, your great-great-grandfather is born in a place, you are a citizen of that place. Automatically, you become a citizen. And then, if you come from somewhere, or your father comes from somewhere, or your great-grandfather comes from somewhere and settle in a place, you remain a settler. That is culturally thinking. But the Constitution of Nigeria said that if you are born in a place, even if you come from somewhere, you have stayed there in a place for 10 years and above. Even if you get married to someone, you are automatically a citizen of that place. But in the practical sense of it, the ground truth is that if you are in a place and they know that your great-grandfathers come from somewhere, you are a settler. So, there is this issue of indigeneity. If you are from somewhere, you can never be an indigene. It is only those that were originally the autochthonous people from that site that are the indigenes. And since the indigene of the place are being referred to as the citizen, that term citizenship has always been mistaken. They mistake citizenship for indigeneity, whereas the Constitution is telling us that no, citizenship should be based on residency. Whoever is residing in a place at a particular time is a citizen of that place. So you can see where there is friction, there is conflict between what the Constitution says and the tradition of the people. It's stating to us the other side. And that is the position, and that is what we are trying to address, to see that all of us reason alongside our Constitution. And then when they say about leadership, an average Nigerian on the street will tell you that, oh, leadership is the problem of the country. Leadership is the problem. It is not really the problem of the country. It is the content. If the citizens are okay, definitely the leadership will be okay. You can never get a leader that is different. The leaders are not imported from anywhere. Leaders are products of the citizenship. So the basis is the best thing we can do for this country, and we'll get it out of the tag third world country, is to develop the capacity of our citizens to start reasoning and thinking that citizenship belongs to all according to our Constitution. And leadership, you can vie for any position and go for any position and do in as much as you have the content and capacity to perform at that level. Please, you can go in for it, and then it will be better for Nigeria. Take example of America, Obama, and Obama of America. And take, for example, how Kano is developing, how Lagos is developing. How many of those people serving in leadership capacity there are originally from there? Any city that does not welcome visitors and allow them to participate fully in the well-being of that place can never be tagged a developed location, a developed city. No, it can't happen. So all of us must open our mind, open our arms, and welcome all of us. We are all Nigerians. Allow people to develop. Allow people to come to your place and do well. Kano is doing well because they do that. Lagos is doing well because they do that. You can have example of those that goes the other way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alhaji Danjuma Ochidi, Director, Reform, Coordination and Service Improvement Director from Citizenship and Leadership Training Center. As we close, I want you to please advise Nigerians on how to embrace citizenship and leadership education.
Thank you very much. Citizenship and leadership training is for all. Citizenship and leadership training is for all categories of people. You need not to wait, because it is good for Nigeria. You are expecting government to do everything to make it, to send you there and train you for it. No, train yourself because of self-benefit. Go there and ensure that you are being trained. If you are in any, even in whatever capacity you are serving today, ensure that you are being trained in the art of citizenship and leadership training. If you are in the military, ensure that you are being trained by wherever you are, as in even in members of National Assembly. You can't give what you don't have. You need to be trained. If you belong to, if you are of the political class, you need to be trained to know how to do it better, whatever you are doing before now. Thank you, and you are all welcome.
Thank you, our special guest, Alhaji Danjuma Chidi. I want to believe that when next we call upon you, you will not hesitate in attending to us. And on this note, I want to appreciate Citizenship and the Citizens Radio station. We are grateful. And to the listeners out there,
reach out.
We want you to tune to this same station, same time next week, as we bring you another topic. Thank you and God bless.
Abuja. Wake up. Reach out.